I've got two. I've got our rec board resignation and appointment. Let's put it right after delinquent accounts. And also Kelly's here with interns. Let's put them after airport status report. Anything else? Minutes, June 11th, 2018, regular meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Payroll vouchers number 18-06, June wages and salaries.
I move we approve payroll voucher number 18-06, June wages and salaries.
I second it.
Melanie, second. Any more discussion, council, on payroll vouchers? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Accounts payable, checks pre-written, accounts payable for June.
We approve the June checks pre-written and June accounts payable.
Second.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Moving on, delinquent accounts.
The second one left town, didn't they?
Yes.
Is that a rental house?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else to comment on delinquent accounts? Moving on, rec board resignation and appointment for, I didn't even say, I should have said Lincoln 298. I got a letter of resignation for Gina Eckhart. And the board's recommendation was Nikki Flynn. So I entertain a motion to appoint Nikki Flynn to the rec board.
Is Nikki Flynn okay with that?
I guess.
Okay, then I move we appoint Nikki Flynn to the rec board to take Gina's spot for the school district.
I second it.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Emergency sirens. LCEM Director David Does here.
Thank you for allowing me to come speak to you this evening. I know Heather had put a packet of paperwork in your packet at your table. I'm just going to read from a prepared statement, and you can follow along if you like, and at the end, if you have questions, please feel free. Back on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there were significant storms that came through Lincoln County. On the 1st, there was rotation spotted by a trained spotter in the area of the practice football field, and the sirens were activated. Law enforcement was directed by the sheriff to drive up and down the streets of the community to make citizens aware of the weather and also to ask them to take cover. Through this process, I was upstairs in my office in the courthouse and lost internet access to at the courthouse as there was a lightning strike in the near vicinity. The same evening, there was rotation spotted by a trained spotter in the Beverly and Barnard area. This was the same night that the EF3 tornado went through Ottawa County. The tornado was on the ground for 29 minutes and roughly 14 miles. The base of the tornado was half to 3/4 mile wide. Power was knocked out in the Beverly and Barnard communities, and volunteer firefighters were asked to go to their respective stations and get in the trucks and drive around the communities and make announcements pertaining to the weather and direct the public to go inside and seek shelter because of the severe weather. Corrective actions were determined after the event. Lincoln County needed to have one central source for tornado siren information, maintenance, and record keeping. The Repeater Board for Lincoln County has agreed to be the primary agency in charge of maintenance and checks pertaining to the siren systems in Lincoln County, as they are already in charge of maintenance issues and biannual checks of the repeater system. They have a technician from Minneapolis area that is contracted, and if there are any issues that need corrected, are fixed. The 7 members of the Repeater Board are Richard Ansel, Mark Lovin, John Alquist, Randy Rathman, Brett Kingen, Jay Core, Jeremiah Zacco, and Troy Anderson. And currently, Richard Ansel is the chairperson for the fire board. Each fire district, emergency management, EMS, the city of Lincoln all pay $300. Both school districts pay $100, and the health department pays $200 for yearly dues to the Repeater Board. These funds are collected and utilized to help pay the cost of the technician for checking the system and making any corrections or upgrades or updates. The Repeater Board would ask each community to pay $300 additionally annually into this account. When the fire sirens are activated, it is the fire department that is utilizing this asset. When severe weather is imminent and life safety is at risk, it is the community's responsibility to activate the siren to make people aware. Back on June 11th, 2018, I approached the Lincoln County Commissioners and asked them if I could approach each city in the county and ask if the city councils, if they would allow Lincoln County to take ownership of the sirens and maintain insurance coverage on the sirens. K-Camp, the insurance carrier for the county, had advised that if Lincoln County was able to show ownership of the sirens, that they would not have any issues with having them covered under a policy of the county. The Repeater Board and I are looking at writing grants to facilitate updating sirens in Lincoln County. We have contacted Storm Sirens, Inc., a company out of Norman, Oklahoma, and have received quotes on Sentry sirens. I've attached paperwork specifically with information about the sirens for the city of Lincoln, pages 3 through 6 of this packet of paperwork. The intent is to replace the sirens in the communities in Lincoln County, along with the siren in Hunter, as it is part of the Lincoln County Fire District, and then also add a siren to the Vesper Community Building for the Vesper community. The cost includes the sirens and the decoder to be able to interact with the paging system located in the law enforcement center. There are decoders within the county currently that were put back in service back in the 90s. The information that I am presenting to you is without battery backup, as generally the battery backup system is usually only good for around 5 years, and then you are responsible for updating that on a 5-year basis. The Repeater Board is looking at the cost of battery backup for each system, and it was determined that after 5 years you're replacing the battery, so we are looking at a grant to assist in purchasing a 20 kilowatt generator that would be tied into the fire department. When power goes out in the community, the generator would automatically engage and run through the duration when power is restored to the community. I approached Precision Electric and was quoted a cost of $8,000 per community, and this cost would be for the generator, installation of the generator, and the wiring to complete the project. However, with the generator that is in place at the law enforcement center, I am not sure if this would be an item that would be needed for the city of Lincoln. The cost to add an additional 2 sirens to the city of Lincoln would be $39,900, complete and installed, turnkey ready through this company. The company has stated that they would place 2 medium-sized sirens located at or near the intersections of North 4th Street and North Street, and South 4th Street and South Street. The overall cost of the project for the 11 sirens for the locations is $140,550. I have previously spoken to the Lincoln County Commission about matching funds for this project, and they advised me that if the repeater board could take ownership of the sirens, and if the county could insure them through their insurance carrier, then they would match funds, yet to be determined amount. I spoke to the Assyria city clerk, and she advised me that the Dane G. Hansen Foundation gave them $10,000 to update or upgrade their tornado sirens in their community. This happened within the past 3 years. Do you folks have any questions for me?
Isn't there currently a siren at the opposite corner of 4th and South Street?
I know
There on
there's,
the playground?
I know there's one located at the school,
Yeah,
at the grade school in the parking lot area.
and that other one would just be right up on the other side of the block.
Or again, too, at no cost to the city, with my grant writing ability, Lisa, thank you. I would be looking at purchasing the sirens, and the county would do the in-kind match. Again, with the 2 sirens you already have in place, I've heard from various people within the community that you can't hear the siren out on North Street, or on 9th Street, and you can't hear it out at the school. I'm well aware of that. Again, if there could be a more strategic location, I don't think this company would be opposed to setting the sirens wherever we wanted to go with them. But again, that's yet to be determined or discussed. Again, still in the groundwork of contacting all the communities within the county and Hunter to see if they would be on board with this. So I'm just kind of laying the groundworks, but I wanted to come at least address this with the council.
So they're gonna install them, does that mean they bring their poles too and dig the holes and
Turnkey
everything?
ready.
Okay.
Turnkey ready. They're doing all that stuff, yes.
So what are you asking the city for, to give you our sirens that we have now?
And if the city wants to maintain those sirens on their own, that's a discussion that you folks can have at another time. Or again, we can discuss it this evening. I just wanted to be able to have on record that you folks said yes with the purchase of these 2 new sirens wherever they're placed, that the county would cover those insurance-wise and be responsible, and the repeater board would be responsible for the technician that comes in and does the biannual checks on the equipment and stuff.
So you're asking for an increase of $300,
Yes, ma'am.
so it'd be $600 a year.
A year, correct.
And you would take care of the new sirens.
Correct. And the radio frequencies with whatever we have done to
And
them.
if we wanted to turn our other sirens over, you're willing to take them on too? I'm asking.
And again, if your agency was willing to do that, again, again, that would have to be discussion that I would have with the repeater board. Because again, I think the sirens were put in 2009,
I think so.
if I remember correctly. Jess and I previously spoke. But again, the decoders, those already may be an issue. Again, those wear out quite frequently, and again, I've been quoted every 5 years that you should be updating your decoders for the equipment that interacts with the console at the sheriff's office.
What involvement do you have, Jess, with that? Do we test them? How's that work? I guess I don't know.
They are tested, but the sheriff's office.
Oh, the sheriff's office tests them, so we don't touch them
We
as
don't
far
do-
as those
We don't
guys.
have anything to do with controls.
Okay. So technically, we don't have anything to do with them anyways, really, I mean, right? Other than the city owns them, I mean,
No, I mean, as far as if somebody has to work on, we have to get somebody in to work on. Gotcha. I mean, if it's something simple as a fuse, we can do, but if you're talking about a board or something, there's one bad.
right?
So if we give them to the county and something happens to them, then the county fixes them?
Go under their insurance.
Okay.
Dave, is there anybody at the state level that can give us some guidance on placement of these sirens? If we've got 2 sirens at the opposite ends of the city right now and they're not giving us good coverage, I'd hate to put up new sirens and still have the same situation.
Right. And again, I could communicate with someone at the state. I'm going to be down in Wichita on the 25th and the 26th for the fourth of 4 sessions for a basic emergency management class. And high-ranking KDOM, Kansas Division of Emergency Management officials are there. I could communicate with them, or again, I could shoot them an email and get a response and then forward it to Heather and she could divulge that information to you as.
So if we're planning on putting a lot of money, whoever ends up putting the money in the new sirens, I think that's a problem that needs to be studied.
Right.
You point out in your letter here that if we went to a battery backup, they'd have to be replaced every 5 years. Do we have any cost comparison between doing that and paying for a generator?
Overall, the generator, 20 kilowatt generator from Northern Resources, I think is who Precision uses or has access to, was about $4,000. So.
$4,000 for the generator?
Generator itself, yes. Yes, for a 20 kilowatt generator is roughly $4,000.
Installed, it was 8.
Right, and with
And
electrical and all
that
that.
includes wiring to the sirens.
And that would be part of Precision's cost also. And with that, again, the sirens that are currently in place are automatically on battery backup at the sheriff's office regardless, unless something specifically happens at the pole, then.
Which, if that happens, it doesn't make any difference. whether-
Correct. So again, I don't know if a generator, again, would be beneficial for the city of Lincoln or not, but I just wanted to put that information in there also. And again, I'm looking at a separate grant and for the 11 communities, roughly $40,000 for generators for each one of those fire stations also, or Vesper, the community center.
And so, if the generator system's gonna work, that's still gonna be cheaper than replacing batteries every 5 years?
Correct. And if it's already in place, then it's a moot point for the city.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay.
What's the, so, help me understand how this works, that there's currently battery backups that are wired directly to the sirens? Or is that just for the activation equipment, the decoders?
The decoders are what's in place currently. And again, as far as the Lincoln sirens, I have no idea about what's.
But with these sirens, is it just the decoders or what turn them on and off? Is that accurate?
That interacts with the siren and the paging system up at the sheriff's office, correct?
And that's what would be on the backup generators. What actually powers the siren itself?
Power,
City power?
city power, correct.
So basically, if the electricity's out, it doesn't really matter because the siren's not going to go off anyway.
That's correct.
Okay.
And like in the smaller communities, for example, up in Barnard, their current sirens across the street and south of their fire station, half a block. And with this discussion with this company, it's been discussed that when they come up and put the poles up, we'd prefer to have the poles beside the fire stations, and hence the generators, and alleviate that backup problem. So then if the power was out, like at the sheriff's office when I used to dispatch there, power would go out and the generator automatically kicks on. There's something tied in with the city's circuitry or whatever in that panel back behind there, but we've talked about that having that capability with precision, and they understood what I was requesting and asked, and that was the $8,000 quote for the electrical on top of the generator.
There's a discussion about the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of May. Did the sirens not work?
The sirens
Well-
did hear, they did hear, but again, over in Beverly and Barnard, they did not because they were tied into,
Because they had no power.
correct, because of the tornado that went through Ottawa County, tore up, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the electric company in the eastern part of the county right now, but that was compromised because of
Westar.
that situation.
Yeah, Beverly had no siren.
I guess I'm just trying to work this out in my head, how the generators, because if they're not hooked directly to the siren,
They would have to be.
yeah, it doesn't matter if you can activate the siren, if the siren's got no power, it won't work. So that's the part that I
Right.
was trying to figure
Right.
out.
And again, I don't know if there's room down on the county's lot down here on the corner, or if there could be a generator put down there. I don't know.
Not to- They're saying that they want the siren right beside the generator, basically.
That's what I myself would prefer.
Okay.
The
but-
company hasn't instilled that, no, or hasn't conveyed that, no.
So then there'd only be one siren that went off?
Yeah.
But again, if there's a primary siren, again, I just discussion stage right now.
You'd have to have a generator for each siren, or have it wired to
Yeah,
a
have to have
generator
a direct
somehow.
line.
And then you've got to have a fuel source for the generator,
And again, with that, looking at outlying places, Denmark, for example, we're already currently on propane. Again, the Denmark siren, I can hear it at my place, and I live half mile away. And I know Leo Lesser lives north of Denmark, mile and a half. And if the weather conditions are just right, and not including the wind, he can hear the siren also. But again, we're on propane, and I know Westfall's on propane also. Propane's more efficient than gas, because how often do you run that gas out of that gas tank, and that gas is
Oh,
sitting there, and then you're running into problems with maintenance on that, so.
I know the sheriff's department even has times where their
Propane.
generator doesn't work because it sits and it doesn't run.
And I know speaking, when I used to dispatch there, that was my pet project, where I was appointed to do monthly generator tests. And again, I can't confirm nor deny that those tests are still getting done.
I think the generator, and I could be wrong, I think the generator they're talking about is to make sure you get a signal to your sirens.
Yeah, that's not gonna do any good if there isn't any power to the siren.
Right.
But that's, I mean, that's the sheriff's office, which he knows that there has a generator already for it. But they control it. The only other would be is if it was local and you just had one circuit down. And that happens to be the circuit that was feeding the north end of town, well, then they'd have power to get it to the siren and get the city to still, I mean, there's different ways to look.
Sure.
I mean, if you got a total town blackout, yes, you're not gonna have it. But if you're going that route, you're correct, you're gonna have to have a generator, a deep siren.
It would
But
seem
I
to
don't
me to
think
be,
that's what they're talking about.
it would seem to me to be easier to put battery backups at the sirens.
And again, that's an option. Those options that are on the first bid, I think shows the battery backup cost. And I think it was $45,500, I think, or $45,000. And then the second quote on the back page had it without for $39,500.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how much of that's actually just the batteries themselves too, because you've got a lot of, I mean, they've got the battery box and the chargers and all that stuff, part of it also.
And of course, you'll be putting this out to competitive bid if the project goes.
That far, yes, once it gets approved. But again, this company out of Norman, the reason we chose them, they were the closest representative, and 5 miles 5-hour drive time in response if they were needed to respond to Lincoln. That's part of the reason that company was chosen right now, but yes, we'd have to do an RFP for this project.
What would be nice is to know if the controllers we have now could be switched out and the same controllers for the new sirens that operate the sirens we already have.
And that could be a question that I could ask the person from Storm Sirens Inc.
Because I kind of, you question their location. And we've always discussed, back when the open area was involved in this, about having something on the east and west side. Something more closer up to the 9th Street and north, and then out by the school and the industrial park.
Yeah, because at our place, we can't, lots of times we can't hear them.
Because the two we have here now were positioned before I was here.
Yeah, that's,
But we updated them in 2009, we got new sirens, and Lowell did all the paperwork on that. And he could work on it, but now we don't have him. If
Yeah.
something would go down, we'd have to hire someone.
well, that's, I'm sure there's got to be somebody at the state to help plan these systems.
Right. And that'd be nice to know where you
Yeah.
get your best,
Yeah,
because it seems like we're just putting them right next to the ones we
Yeah,
have.
yeah, exactly. That might work, and it's going to give them, might be a better place to put them. Dave, I think this is a very important project, and I encourage you to continue with it. You might want to check into, at one time, Homeland Security had grants available for projects like this. I know a lot of their funding's dried up, but they still might have.
Yes.
Other than that, I would make a motion to approve the $300 a year increase to the repeater board as a first step.
If this project carries through,
Yeah,
is my understanding, or my asking.
so if you don't do the siren project, you're not gonna ask for the $300?
No, that is correct. That is correct.
Okay. And on the condition that the project goes through, I move that the city increase the allotment to the repeater board, additional $300 a year.
And would we be also able to take ownership of the sirens?
I don't see any
Or
problem
do,
with that.
as I say, or do we want to wait until they figure out what they're doing before we?
Assuming the project goes forward.
Okay.
Again.
Okay,
There you
and
go.
again, I'll revisit you folks. I'll be busy going community to community for the
So the
next.
motion was to allow $300 for the project listed.
Yes, and the ownership of the sirens convert to the county. If it is.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, David.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Eagle Communications easement.
You should have one in front of you in the packets. And I'll explain a little bit about it, how it came about. And if you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's not long. The thing that's a little bit different about it is that it blends a temporary easement relative to the use of the lot, and then a permanent easement as to the exact location where the 10-by-10 slab would be and the cabinet would be. We had some input from Eagle, of course, which we needed, as well as one of their earlier easements. And then I met with Mayor Travis and Superintendent Jess, and we kind of ground out some ideas about it, and what you see is what as a result of that. And I don't know if Eagle has had a chance to have any further input on it. That's the next step. But I don't think they would have a problem with it because, number one, they were interested in getting access to the lot to put materials on it, which they got through the mayor's authorization from early on. this assures them of that because it, treating that as a temporary easement. And this provides, because there was discussion about this, well, who mows? Well, the city will continue to mow until the permanent easement kicks in. In other words, and that's something you can discuss, but of course the Housing Authority has been involved with that and has taken care of it. They've sent a letter to the city saying that they're willing to continue to do that until such time as the lot is otherwise committed, assuming to Eagle. And I guess that needs to be clarified. Dean is here, so maybe that could come up in the discussion. But bottom line is this gives Eagle what they wanted in a permanent way relative to the structure that they intend to put on the lot. And you can look at the exhibit that's attached to your draft, and you see where the original draft had it 10 feet from the property or from the street, but it's 12. That's needed, so that correction was made. So, and then of course, it has the usual indemnification provisions because the city is not taking on a potential liability, of course, from what their usage of the lot would be, and that's written into the easement. I don't think they'll have a problem with that. I pretty well tell you what it is. If you have questions, we address them.
Eagle's just gonna have that slab. I mean, they're not taking over the whole.
That's the permanent. They have to have access to that.
Sure.
And that's what they asked for. You remember when
Yeah.
Mr. DeWeese was here, he said, well, this is all they're wanting. You know, the question that came into my mind, well, what about the rest of the lot?
Yeah.
Because that's 10 by 10. But they do need more than the 10 by 10 to bring their supplies on, their equipment, other things. So that's why that's the reason for the temporary easement.
Yeah, as soon as project is done, they'll move all their stuff out, and the only thing that will be there is that 10 by 10 with a 8-foot cabinet on it. And all they're asking for is the easement to walk on there to maintenance.
And that would be continuing as to their cabinet. They've got to be able to get to and from that, of course, but that's basically all they asked for. But then it expanded to wanting the convenience of having the use of the rest of the lot, at least temporarily, for them to get their work done. And
I wanted to make note of that all those, on those little green lines, that's all underground. It goes to the pole, and then from there it's above. So there won't be no overhead cables to that cabinet. Everything comes in underground. So as far as mowing, I mean, it's a pretty minute deal as far as the lot goes, and the city's still gonna own the lot, so.
So is there a reason why it has to be 40 feet away from that power pole?
I think that's more of the view, like driving, so you can,
Ah,
you know what I'm saying, as far as the stop signs?
Seen around the corner? Okay.
Yeah,
That would be a little more convenient if it was closer.
Closer,
but I
right.
see your point.
right.
yeah, it's rather congested there, but that's how they presented it. So, I know Kelly has been interested in this and has had contact with Eagle, so I don't know if she has any questions or if she's had a chance to look at this. Sorry, I just mentioned, I knew you had been interested in communicating with Eagle about this, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the proposal or if you've heard from them.
No, I haven't. I did email him, well, I think a week or two ago, I kind of asked, do you need me to do anything easement, just because I know that's going to be a holdup. We can't really move further until they have kind of the hub here. And then earlier today, I emailed just anything I need to do for tonight, and they seem good.
I think the mayor verbally made it clear to them that they had access to it, so think there was a holdup. It's just a matter of needing to get their input
Right.
to make it happen. And to meet with Jess and Mary.
Is that 12 feet off of the curb far enough to? is it-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the right of way that's marked, I think it was 12 feet was the right of way, and the other direction was 19 and a half, almost 20 feet off of Third Street.
And for the housing authority, that lot is still, I mean, if there's something that they want to do with it later on, other than that 10 by 10 easement, I think it'll still be available for the,
Okay, but now
Housing.
understand, we're no longer going to maintain it, okay?
it's understandable.
Okay. Is that plenty distance between where the county parks the trucks? I don't want anybody backing out.
That's Eagle's problem.
Me, if I'm not getting internet.
Yeah, you're not getting internet.
Well, there have been some interest in that lot on several occasions from other entities, so this is why the city, I think, is handling it in an appropriate way, maintaining ownership of the lot subject to the easement.
Looks like there's 150 feet over there, so they're all the way on. They're definitely on the west half of it.
Any questions? More questions?
I would move we approve the easement agreement, both temporary and permanent.
Second that.
Any more discussion, council, on the easement? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Kelly. You did a good job.
Onward and upward.
Moving on, pool compensation. Have you been putting more time in down there?
Not really. They call or text me once in a while with questions, but
Been going pretty smooth. Good.
What hourly rate are we talking about on this?
You asked for
Dollar an
it.
hour?
$1 an hour.
You guys asked for an invoice, so I gave you an invoice.
$1 an hour and all the expired Doritos you
They're not expired, we just bought them.
need? Okay.
And this isn't everything I've done, this is just what I feel was above and beyond what I should be doing.
And I, for one, appreciate you filling in. What,
Me too.
what hourly rate would you consider appropriate? Well, what's our, not a lifeguard rate, but what's the next one down? Manager or what is it?
the manager,
11, I think.
11.
11? Does that sound acceptable?
That's fine.
I would move the pay Lisa Feldkamp for 21 and a half hours at the rate of the manager, $11 an hour.
Second.
Move seconded. Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
No.
For second.
Lou. Thank you, Lisa. I think you earned it.
Yes.
Brian's not gonna be here. So we can skip that.
No Pride Park improvement?
No. They'll be back at a later date.
Okay. Moving on, Post Rock Festival, park and pool use.
Just needed permission to use the park and the pool September 1st for the Post Rock Festival. We'll need the normal barricades and trash cans and taco
Nothing,
stands and
nothing out of the normal. Nice. When's the last day of pool being open? Is that weekend? Or was it on the schedule? I guess it is. I mean, I didn't know if it
it's
was gonna
actually
be.
August. I had guards that were willing to work weekends and evenings, so it's going to be open in the evenings from 5 to 8 and after school starts.
We haven't done that for a while. We're good.
My phone's not cooperating. Whatever, I want to say August like 24th or 25th.
So it's gonna,
It's
we're
like the
titling another
weekend.
week.
It's the weekend before the festival. It'll be open until then.
I was just wondering if it was gonna be sitting empty for 2 or 3 weeks and, you know,
No,
What do you think?
because we've got guards that said,
they-
like one guard goes to school in Sylvan and they don't start till like the 27th or 28th of August, so she said she would work evenings and
good. I think that is great. Well, I entertain a motion to,
I move that we allow Post Rock Festival to use the park and pool September 1st for Post Rock Festival with all the necessary things they usually have.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great.
Basically, you send those by email, your requests.
I can close to the time if that works.
Yeah, enough time for them to, I think they know their usual routine, but
All right. No Pride Park improvement tonight. Moving to a later date, I guess. Okay. Airport status report. And
Well, I think the item is the electrical work that Tess has been involved in. I talked to the airport manager and he says everything's progressing as it should be. We have some further thoughts relative to the situation with the compensation, but I don't think we need to get into that. I think the main thing is the reason it's on the agenda is because of the electrical and the report that I see is in the materials, so.
Jess, you want to speak a little bit about the electrical stuff?
They wanted numbers, what it's gonna cost to do one. That's what your letter was given to, they gave to Olson. And in that cost, we would like to have someone do the underground works. We have not done the houses that they put up for us, and there's some work there that we haven't done. And I asked Diane with Olson if the city had to take this for bids, and they said no, that the city could hire who they wanted. And I asked Precision Electric, and they were licensed, and they've done this. And so I asked them to give us some numbers. After looking at the numbers, I would like for the city council to consider option 3. The first one that she put on there, Director Berry, then I got visiting and talking about this and doing a little researching and finding out that rodent is going to be a problem with that. And the second one is actually very good conduct. If you have something that goes wrong with it, you have to replace it all or try to find a locator of it. With option 3, you have the conduit there where you can pull the cable in, and if something's wrong, you pull the cable out. Or if someday that would happen to be where they want 3-phase, we could drop the other 2 cables in that conduit and everything in order to be there. And from option 2 to option 3, you're talking $5,000, which would seem to be, to me, for a little bit more money, you'll have that to where you can change it.
Yeah, because if you had to replace it, you're basically trenching again and putting the new. I think it's trying to build something permanent. We're not trying to build something to replace in 5 years.
So they would install it, we would do the terminating and the load brakes, and we will take it up and down the poles, and then we will demolish what's there, as far as the city.
Question, has there been any consideration about boring under those runways so that we could get a straight line? Would there be enough material savings to?
What, we talked about different options on that. When they, if I understand right, with option 3, they got to come out of the ground 3 times because they can only pull that so far. And when they start talking about that, then I thought, well, I think it's your expense, if I remember right, it's $12 a foot to bore. So then you're going to start talking about that. And that's the reason why I didn't.
Yeah, I just didn't, well, I guess.
But no, it was discussed, it was discussed. In fact, we discussed doing that at the end, but then we're fighting water lines, sewer lines, phone lines, cables, and the very last end, we're going to go over there. Like the buildings.
Now, would this would be paid for out of the funding for the airport project that's already going on, so it'd be the grant money.
Right,
Plus our
That's the goal. I mean,
That's the goal.
that is to have that covered within the grant, within the contract, actually.
So what if it's not? If that's,
I don't think we've considered it not, because
I guess
funds are there.
okay, that was my question, is I guess I should have been a little more clear, are the funds actually available to do it?
I think this was this was part of the first deal. Basically, we're just deciding which way we want to
I
go.
just know we didn't have actual bids at that point, so it's
Right.
Well, it's
in line
sufficiently,
with what we expected.
it's sufficiently covered in the project description.
The city committed $50,000 to the airport.
Right.
So this in-kind,
70.
well, he originally requested 72, or 80, and
78, something like that.
said he could do with 50 because he had some other money or something. So the 50,000 for the city would be in kind, basically.
So we're not having to cover the entire 10% match.
That's the way I understand from Olson that we can do in kind without the funds.
But then we can, okay, so yeah, right there it is. The work that the city's gonna do is being calculated into the 50,000 number.
That's correct.
It's on the front page.
Yes.
Well, I would move that we approve option 3 for rerouting of electrical service to the airport.
Second. Move second. Any more discussion, council, on the airport wiring? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Boy, this is pretty good tonight.
Don't rest on your laurels. Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling, us. Summer interns, Kelly Larson's here with Mickey Blair and Bethany Dingle. I said it right tonight, didn't I?
What happens for you guys?
If you guys wanted to share one too.
Yeah, thanks.
You?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Alright, so we looked at all the ADA and transition plans, and we personally crawled through almost every square inch of this building several times. You can ask Heather, we've done it, I don't even want to know how many times we've asked for a key, but, and then through our findings and taking everything into consideration, we've derived 2 solutions that we believe satisfy all the needs and wants of City Hall. And so if you want to start at the beginning here. Right.
Yeah, essentially we have, just page 1 and page 2 is the existing layout of the building with the space that you have now, just so you can kind of compare what we've done to what you already have. And then there is, on page 3, is the option 1 that we have. This is the option with no elevator, and that's just keeping this space on the first floor and basically kind of utilizing that garage bay area that's empty now and just used for storage right now and turning that into your new meeting area. If you move on, the next 2 pages we have spent a lot of time looking into where an elevator could go potentially and using that space upstairs if it's this awesome space that's not being used right now because it's not accessible. So those are showing where we decided we'd put in the elevator.
And it wasn't just our decision, so we've been in contact with Jill Enby out of Wichita, and we've been in contact with an architect, and he is also in historical preservation, and so he and us have been discussing about what the best alternative would be, and if we were to put it anywhere basically on the western side of the building, as soon as you come in that whole corridor, all the way through the bathrooms, anywhere from there west, you'd have to go into the basement and just all of the machinery would not be accessible to even dig down there at this point without disturbing the building, and it'd be so much more cost than what it would be worth. So he recommended that we either put it outside of the building if we were to implement an elevator or to put it somehow in that garage bay. So another thing that we did was also contact the Historical Preservation Society of Kansas, and they've looked over all of our documentations and they concluded that anything that goes into that garage bay would not disturb any of the historical intent of the garage bay. So everything would work great that way too. So basically the 2 solutions that we have derived, one includes the elevator and one doesn't include the elevator. And if you say go with option 1, the one that you're not utilizing the space upstairs, you would have to add a whole new HVAC unit and electrical and essentially plumbing to have a restroom accessible from that conference area. And all things added up together would be very, very close to the bid, or not the bid, the estimation of how much the elevator would cost just for the elevator end.
So the architect that we've been in contact with, he's working on a very similar project in Pearson. And basically he estimated the hard costs of the elevator and then the new shaft and then all the soft costs, so that'd be like the architect's fee, structural engineer, things like that would be roughly $100,000 for all of that.
And then he also said to estimate a 10% contingency, so then it would be 108 to 112,000 for the elevator and everything.
That's the elevator and all the changes that you've got there with the conference room.
So the only other change that we would have would be adding those two walls, you guys can see on page 5, where there's a closet and then a small conference room. We did not include, we haven't done like the cost of like those two walls, but that wouldn't be a huge cost. So that would be, if you did the elevator, that's all you really essentially have to do is just that elevator.
And then the space upstairs could also be utilized as an event space, so families could come use it now. It's now accessible for grandma, grandpa, or anyone else that has a handicap, so that would be great space too. And the small conference room upstairs is actually larger than this one, and that's the small conference room. So if you guys wanted to take your, I don't know, what was it called? Yeah. Then you guys could always step into that room while everyone else could wait in the other room, or vice versa. So.
What was your cost estimate for converting the garage space?
We haven't dug super deep into that yet. We kind of wanted to present you guys as options to see which one you guys liked, or we can move forward with that option if that's kind of what you.
We do know that the load as it is for the HVAC is, you couldn't add anything else onto the load that it is right now.
You have to add a whole other unit.
But you're essentially taking a space that's already being used and using it for something else when the upstairs space is still not being used.
It's the elevator itself, the cost.
The elevator itself is $45,000.
The 100,000 is all the construction it takes to
Yeah, so
install
that'd
the
be
elevator.
the shaft.
Work, architect fee, structure, electrical, soil, and then the building permits, he assumed that the city could waive those fees. But
$5.
I'll tell him it does.
Do you guys have any initial thoughts or questions looking at it?
I kind of like using the upstairs.
It's a waste. Not using it.
Just don't want to lose this garage.
yeah.
'Cause if you go to that option, you better think about a place for him to store stuff.
With the garage. Well, if the elevator cost is gonna be as much as
Renovated.
we wouldn't, it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Well, and over here with their design, there's still no bathroom over there. Because if you see, this is limestone, thick. So we still have no restroom.
You would have to blow through, which you can do, and we can come up with a design where we can make the restrooms accessible, but you have to blow through that limestone wall, which is pretty big.
You have to get a structural engineer out here and another architect and, yeah. More dollar signs, basically.
Yeah.
So. And who knows, if it was handicapped accessible, people may utilize it more for
That is the question we get asked all the time. When they
birthdays
call
and
to use,
graduations and.
people call to use it all the time, it's just saying, they ask is if it's handicap accessible, and then I say no, they're not interested.
It's a great space, and it would be awesome to see it being used.
So we've had several reiterations of where to locate the elevator, and ultimately, by far, this was the best decision that we could find. So the last day we were here last week, we actually spent a couple hours upstairs in the attic above the ceiling tiles, and only our feet
I
were
did not
popping
know
out.
this was going on.
No?
When they told me today, I was like,
Neither did I.
And
Did you dust while you were up there?
no, we dusted some things. Our faces
I know, I
dusted.
think we got all
some
over
things.
it.
You were getting 30s.
But we deemed that as soon as you go to walk up the stairs right now, how the wall jets out a little bit. So that is actually a brick chimney that is not filled with anything. There's no HVAC that runs up and down it, and there's nothing about it structural. It's just a chimney. So they just covered it up, and that is what we would essentially be taking down to make the elevator passageway through that. So.
So that's where you get your hole for the elevator?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the elevator would still be in the garage then, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I was curious how that would work.
So it goes from a square footage space of 960 square feet to 880. So you're losing 80 square feet?
And it does not go to the basement, right?
It does not go to the basement,
So
no, it
there
would
is
not.
no elevator access to the basement.
You can, it would just be a lot more cost, I don't know if
Right.
that's something that is needed,
I got
So-
you, yep.
yeah. Essentially, you have to dig down, I think like 4 feet, just to get the bottom of the elevator equipment in, anyway, so you could dig all the way down and just be a lot more.
And since it's a hydraulic elevator, it would also go down even deeper into the ground. So if we were to, say, put that in the base or anywhere over on this side of the building, it was just not really feasible either, so. And then on the second floor, the way that we arrange the elevator to open, if you are in either of the conference rooms or the multi-purpose room, it's not going to disturb anyone. So we also added another thick layer around the outside of that elevator just for noise absorption. So it's just a thicker around the concrete masonry units that we have in there currently. So the multi-purpose room, we have 2 closets, so if you have a big event going on, if you want to have a big city hall meeting, it can set up and adjust, stackable chairs, movable tables, so.
I like that idea. So plenty of room to, if you had to clear it out, you could.
Oh, yeah.
Is there still gonna be an opening between the kitchen and the multipurpose room?
Right now, there's like that window area,
Yes, and
but,
I don't have that touched at all in any of the plans.
Okay, so that would remain.
yeah, and if you needed to, and wanted the kitchen to be bigger, you could also, combine the kitchen and the closet space that you have now if you needed. But
I would assume that the upstairs bathrooms are not handicap accessible, are they?
Yes, they are from the opening of the door, but with the hardware on the door, no, they are not. So,
they're big enough, it's just this, what is in them makes it not ADA.
yes.
So you would have to kind of do a little bit of work
Change the fixtures.
Yes.
for
But I
both
think-
upstairs and the downstairs.
I think
You
we're
do
at
that,
that
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Right, but if we have to do both sets, that's more
Right.
expensive.
Right.
But if you are making this the assembly occupancy, then in the business occupancy, then this is the bathrooms that would have to change, because this is still classified as business down here with just the office duties. That technically, this is no longer a community space, so that is moved upstairs. So these bathrooms could essentially stay. The ones upstairs would be the ones that would have to be the new fixtures. And if you're doing that anyways,
I'm all for the upstairs. I just want to know what the cost difference. I still want to know what the cost
Yeah.
difference is versus.
we just have to have a plumber, electrician, and an engineer come out and make sure that we can cut through that door and everything will be fine. So widen that door to make that door ADA accessible. And if you have to add more plumbing fixtures, because then this would be the assembly occupancy, which would require you to have 3 restrooms.
So is this still in your time schedule if you could do both ways or not? I know you guys are busy. I'm not. I guess.
We have some time at the end of the summer. We allotted like 2 weeks, I think. We're kind of just extra putting everything together, so I think we should be able to dig into that a little bit more.
Into the
Budgeting
first phase,
Yeah.
not first phase, the first option.
The first option versus
Yeah.
the second option.
I
I
think,
mean, I'm all for the upstairs. I really am. I mean, it's all about the almighty dollar. I mean,
I think from my perspective, if you had a strong leaning towards one over the other, maybe they could put a little bit more thought into the actual design and drawings
Versus the.
versus
budget.
having to do all that for both, but maybe if they kind of could come up with a rough cost estimate for doing that, but not necessarily spend a lot more time design work, I guess you could say.
I got you.
We do have kind of extra time at the end of the summer, but I think that's gonna get whittled away pretty quick. So I just don't want to have them kind of doing a whole lot of work on a lot of different options if there's already kind of going to be a strong leaning towards one.
I just kind of think you gotta do your pros and cons of both, and I think the community could really use a space like that upstairs, and having it accessible to everyone's a really awesome thing. Just an outside opinion, I know coming here, even the little conference room, like that would be awesome for some of the things that we do, but
I think by the time you, if you factor in, we talked about the HVAC over there, but we didn't talk about what we would have to do to get rid of the garage doors, because I know that was a question mark that was discussed, because that's to maintain the external appearance and still seal it off is gonna be not cheap. And then if we go build another 1,000 square foot storage building somewhere, that's, I would say we're probably at least at
Probably
wash.
touching the same way, yeah.
And I think it sounds like everybody's pretty much in agreement that it would be really nice to have the upstairs be useful space to the community, so I'd like to see them work that up a little more.
I agree.
I agree.
And this architect that we've been in contact with, he's aware obviously of this project, and he said he'd be willing to kind of take it on and would love to be a part of it as well, so.
he also specializes in historical preservation, so this building just fascinated him, he was very interested in it. Yeah, so
That's good.
he was great to work with, yeah.
I bet he's working on the community building in the community in McPherson.
Really? I don't know, I don't know if he probably mentioned it, I don't remember which one he
It
said.
was
bet I
somewhere in
have.
McPherson, so.
Yeah, he said it was really
I think
similar
it's where
to
the Harlem Globetrotters started, or, yeah, or practice, mentally practice there.
That's
It's quite a
cool.
building. Yeah, it's quite a renovation they're working on. Well, I guess I entertain a motion for them, what direction them to go in, council.
I'd say just,
Give them the instruction and
I move that we
Just so they know, everything's on board.
allow the interns to move forward with cost estimates for renovating the upstairs. Option 2.
Second.
Any more discussion, council?
Can we put in there also what it would take to bring the bathrooms up to ADA code? Can you guys do that?
Yeah.
I mean, if we need new door handles, new fixtures, that way we kind of get a price on
Basically,
everything.
we need locks on the doors, different fixtures as far as in and out, and then to remove the
Handles?
panel.
Yeah.
That's basically what they told us for downstairs too. If you
So
make
it's
it
a
a
lot.
locking, no, it's not that.
If the door hinge, or not hinge, the handle on the door is a locking, so then you make it kind of a family restroom or a unisex restroom, and take out, say in the men's restroom has a dirty urinal, you take it out so it's just the one toilet, and then take out the dividing partition, it's ADA accessible.
It's not as big of a project as it sounds. Our counters were already okay. The faucets, however, weren't because they're knobs, they have to be
Levers.
levers, but
And did you say that these bathrooms would suffice that way if we made those handicap accessible, is that what you said?
Realistically, in a perfect world, no. But in this scenario, the intent is for the upstairs to be usable, not this, because it's changing this occupancy.
Yes.
It would be fine.
we could just tell them our public restrooms are upstairs and they have to use them.
So that is that your reason for going to unisex bathrooms, is so that you can just basically have one toilet in each one to eliminate obstacles?
So for the occupancy of code, for the International Building Code occupancy, for this building, if it was option 1 or 2, there has to be at least 2 women's toilets, water closets, and then 1 men's water closet. So regardless if that's option 1 or option 2, if it's option 2, we'll have to do that upstairs or down here. But International Building Code isn't enforced to that point, since both of them will still be accessible for someone. So it's not like this is going to be locked off. So they theoretically could come down here and use the restroom too. So it's almost as if they're getting another water closet for the whole building, if that makes any sense at all.
If we were following occupancy load, we would have to add another women's restroom. And we kind of messed around with that and played with that, but then we ended up talking to Heather and Kelly, and we just decided that it just isn't enforced here, so that was just kind of another expense that we just kind of decided to make them both unisex and both accessible was more important than going through all of the expense and hassle of adding more bathrooms. That's kind of what we decided.
Makes sense. We have a motion on the table. Did I get a second?
Yes, Jackson.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the direction they're going?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Moving on, 2019 budget. Set hearing date and time, August 13th at 8 p.m.
For me, a motion. I move we set the 2019 budget hearing August 13th at 8 p.m.
Have a second.
Go ahead.
I second it.
Any more discussion, council, on the date set for the budget for 2019? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, nuisance report.
On line 5 and line 23. Have we made any decision? what we're
Well,
gonna
I
do?
think to go forward on each of those, which of course is the same person and the same similar problems, just as we discussed. Jess is referring to those 2 numbers of expanding issues that need to be addressed in most, well, in the best way that we can. Because we have multiple violations. And, we just haven't had time to get started on it. But I need to, if you've got a report or whatever, than what you've done up to this point, which you've told me about.
I can do that, yeah. I can do that, write something up on it.
It's,
Is there occupancy?
Pardon?
Is there are they being occupied, the one place?
Yes.
Okay, because I never see anybody there, that's why.
So basically, there's bigger problems than just weeds at this point.
Yes.
Major problems.
Are we talking just junk or?
health would be one. Health situation. Well, it's multiple because of the more than likely limited ability of the city to collect any type of fines, damages, costs but nevertheless, they need to be addressed.
Smell.
Is this anything the county health officer could address?
They don't do that anymore.
Oh, she doesn't?
Well, I'll get with you then, because, so we discussed some options the other day about what we could do, right? And I need to get in touch with you then.
Let's start up a meeting here later this week or whenever you're able to do it.
I think this one needs to take permanent action.
No, no doubt about that. It's not the first time this affirmative
Right.
action has been taken
Right.
against this particular person.
Is this abatement process that we go through, is this basically the same
Yeah.
process as condemning a building, is that?
Well, that's what the abatement is, but this goes beyond that, some issues, health issues, that are going to be addressed. The abatement ultimately would be probably what we would jump to as quickly as possible because of the fact that we don't expect any response from the complaint process. There's another one that was brought up, and I think it is at the point where the basic process will go forward, and that's, I don't know if that's on here or not, it's on
Yes,
Court
it is.
Street.
Number 2. It's listed
Well,
twice.
the last address I had was different, I need to make sure that was
Well, I'm not sure of that either. I didn't know that that was the name. I didn't know that.
Number 2.
Number 2.
It's also number 14.
Well, the one's the health concern, the other's the weeds.
Well, number 23, we need to get on that before we got somebody else in here with, got bigger problems is what I'm thinking.
Well,
Just-
then,
Yeah.
I think Dan and Jess need to do whatever
Yeah.
needs to be done to protect the city.
I agree.
That will follow.
Sounds good. Anything else on nuisance? City official reports, city attorney.
The only thing that I will report, and it's not on, well, it's not officially on the agenda, it doesn't have to be because it was on last week or last month, and the Ready lease has signed, the payments have been made. I think there's paperwork here for the mayor to sign and have ready because, and that was announced at the last meeting that it had been approved, but we hadn't gotten the actual documents, but those are now in-house, including the payments called for in the lease that went into effect as of July 1. The interim lease payments were made, the lease was brought current, the bill was accepted, it was owed on the property, and I think it's ready to move forward. And I think that lease is available to everybody
Yeah, after the
in
mayor
its
says it.
final form.
That's good news.
Yeah, it is good news. I think, and I think we've had basically very good cooperation.
They've been good.
They've responded, and I think it was just a little misfire relative to the checks and the paperwork arriving at the same time, but I guess we got it straightened out, yeah. So that's all I have, is that report. That's the Ready folks, the formerly EJ property.
Thank you, Dan. Moving on, city clerk.
He took my thunder.
Alright. Nice. City superintendent.
I know that.
Governing body. Lisa.
I have a question for Jess. That tree over there on Rome Street, over by my house, it's right there along the street. I'm supposed to ask if you guys are gonna cut that down. It's just right on the street there.
I'd have to look at it.
Okay,
On Rome.
right. Because I think there's a phone line that goes right underground there. But I was asked to see if you would cut that down,
I'll take a
because
look
it's
at it.
getting to where it's starting to get out in the street.
I'll take a look at it.
Anything else? Elijah?
No.
Lou? Jack?
Well, little Johnny's back in class again, and the lesson today is on sensory organs and what senses are connected to which organs. And the teacher asked him, and Johnny, what do you need to see? And Johnny says, eyes, ears, and nose. And the teacher says, you're not paying attention in class again, Johnny. To see, you only need your eyes. And Johnny says, yeah, but I need my ears and nose to hold up my glasses. I move we adjourn.
I second it.
More discussion?